Hey guys, it's Tom Shue, and today we're going to be doing another episode of Photoshop for Lightroom users. And in this particular tutorial, we're going to do retouching. Now, we're not going to be doing high fashion retouching where we're trying to do every little thing to the image. We're going to be doing volume retouching. When you're doing volume retouching, you want to do skin softening, blemish removal, you want to whiten teeth, and you want to brighten eyes. Now, since I've got two people in this image, it's twice as much work. I usually try to allot 4 or 5 minutes to an image with one person. So let's see what we can do. Let's see how fast we can get this done here. So the reason why I'm choosing to work inside Photoshop is because I can use smart objects, I can use layer masks and blending modes to retouch the image, which you don't have those kind of tools inside of Lightroom. So the reason why I'm going to work as a smart object is because I can use the Camera Raw engine to help me with my skin softening. Okay, so to get this as a smart object inside Photoshop, what we're going to do is we're going to right click, edit in. Let me see if I can select up here. Edit in, open as smart object in Photoshop. So it launches Photoshop automatically for you. And there's your smart object. Okay, now you see it's got this little square down here in the bottom of that layer, and that tells you that it's a smart object. Now the smart object doesn't allow you to do any kind of destructive things to it. Okay, like I can't do skin retouching on this actual photograph, this actual layer. I have to do it on a separate layer, right? So if I choose, say, like the spot healing brush, you see it's kind of grayed out there, or it gives you that circle with a line through it saying no, you can't use that tool. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is make a copy of this smart object, but we want to make an independent copy. If we do Control J or Command J, it will duplicate it, but that gives us two of the exact same thing. Whatever we do to one will happen to the other. We need independent copies. So we're going to right click, okay, but you want to right click over here in the bar section, and you want to say New Smart Object via Copy. Let me slide this down here a little bit so we can see what's happening here. Right click, New Smart Object via Copy. So that creates a copy of the smart object, and whatever we do to that layer happens on its own. Okay, it doesn't happen to both. So we're going to double click on this, and we're going to open that, and we're going to open that inside Camera Raw. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit here so I can show you what's going on. Uh-oh, it's going to do it. It's going to double up for me. I don't want that. Okay, so we want to soften the skin. Okay, that's the first thing we want to do, is get the skin soft. We'll worry about blemishes in just a minute. So a quick way to soften skin is to use this clarity slider and back off. Okay, now if you go all the way, you can see obviously it's just ridiculous. But this clarity slider will help us with the shine on the face and soften the skin. Remember, this isn't a high fashion retouch. This is a volume retouch. Okay, so we're going to click OK, and that's going to apply that unclarity to that layer. Okay, but we don't want to apply it to the whole image. We want to apply it to their face. So let's zoom in a little bit here. Okay, and we're going to add a layer mask. Now if you just add a layer mask, you can't see anything hidden, and you have to paint with a black brush to hide everything. Well, there's a way to apply a layer mask that hides everything. If you hold down the Alt key, and that's the Option key on the Mac, and you click on this layer mask, it hides the effect that you've applied to that, okay, which in this case was that clarity, and it lets us paint it back in with the brush tool. So we're going to grab our brush tool, painting with white, and we're just going to come in here, and I'm just going to rough it in real quick. Okay, I'm just going to paint it all over them. Let me move their face down. I'm just going to paint it on their face, and don't worry about the eyes or anything like that. Okay, let me come over here and paint it on her too. Just paint it all over. Alright, now we've got softer skin, and we've dealt with the shine. Alright, now I'm going to hit the backslash key. Okay, this is kind of like a mask. It shows us an overlay of, it's called a quick mask. It shows us what we've actually applied. So now we want to paint with the other brush. So we're going to hit the X key, and watch, we're going to flip it to black. Okay, and whatever's red is going to be hidden. So we don't want to apply it on the eyes. We're not trying to put clarity on the eyes. We don't want to put clarity on the hair or the lips, maybe so much. So we'll just kind of rough it in off the teeth. Hit their nostrils a little bit too. I find that if you soften up that line on the nostril, it kind of looks weird. Alright, let me make my brush a little bit smaller for this one over here and hit the X key again. So I want it on that skin there, just not on the eyebrows and eyelashes. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let me hide this, hit the backslash key again, and now you can see the before and the after on the skin softening. Now I told you before we can't use the spot removal tool or spot healing brush on a smart layer object. What we can do is to create a new layer. Okay, this is the blemish removal portion of the tutorial. Let's zoom in here, and you can see she's got some blemishes. So on this new layer with the spot healing brush tool selected, we can come in here and get rid of some of these blemishes that she has. Okay, even though the skin's been retouched. Now if it doesn't work, we go to normal. I like to use the light and darken modes, and I like to use the content aware fill a lot. Now if it doesn't work, I switch back and forth between the proximity match. Okay, and you see how quickly it gets rid of this. Now sometimes you get these crazy effects. To get rid of them, you hit Control Z or Command Z on the Mac, and you can go back and give it another try. Okay, alright, that's looking pretty good. Oh, Control Z. Let's zoom in a little bit here. And I'm just going to come over here and try to get this red spot off. Nope, it's not going to let me do it. So this is why I switched to proximity match and give that a try. That's not working for me. So I will try my lighten. Nope, that's not working for me. One last try would be darken. No, it's just not going to let me have it. So I'm going to kind of, anytime you're near an edge, it likes to do weird stuff. So I'm going to harden the brush a little bit and try that. Now that worked pretty good. Alright, that looks pretty good for quick retouch. Now we'll come over to the little one over here. We'll take a peek. Remember, I'm doing twice as much retouching as I normally would. Okay, her skin looks pretty darn good. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to brighten the eyes. That's the next portion. Oh, let me back that off. We're going to brighten the eyes. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to grab this layer, and I'm going to grab this selection tool, the lasso tool, and I'm going to just make a selection around the eye. I'm going to hold the shift key, and I'm going to grab the other eye. Okay, when you hold the shift key, you can see that little plus sign. It's saying, hey, I want to add a selection to it. I want to add more to my selection. So I've got all their eyes. Now I'm going to hit Control J, that's Command J on a Mac, and I'm going to add in a new layer. You see I've got just the eyes. That's the skin softening or the blemish removal. And this is the eyes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to brighten those eyes. So with that layer selected, let me turn on these other two. We're going to do something here. Let me zoom back out. We're going to go here to Image Adjustments, Highlights, Shadows. Okay. Now just by default, we're going to leave it just like that. And you can see before and after on those eyes are a lot brighter. Okay. So I'm going to turn the preview back on, click OK. We'll do the same thing as we did before with the layer mask. We're going to hold down the Alt key, so we're going to hide all the effects we just applied. Okay, and we're going to paint those effects back in. So we're going to click on that layer mask, grab our brush tool. We're going to be painting in white. Remember, if your chip's not right, hit the X key and you can flip your chips. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to 100%. Let me zoom in a little bit. I like to make these little glints. It looks like a horseshoe piece underneath their eye. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to the other person. I'm going to just make this little horseshoe shape under the eye. And then I'm going to take the opacity and I'm going to drop it down to like 20% or something like that. And I'm going to make the brush big. Okay, and I'm just going to paint in that brightness at 20% on the whole eye. Okay. Okay, there it is. Okay, now if you want to see what you've done, you can hit that backslash key and it will show you. Okay, maybe I need to bring my opacity up just a little bit, maybe 40%. Okay, brighten those eyes up a little bit. Alright, zoom back out here. Now you can see those eyes are considerably brighter than they were, and you can take your opacity slider and you can take that effect off. I find that if you zoom back out small and you use your opacity slider when you apply the effect, you can see when they pop. That's a little bit too far back. Let me pull this in here. That looks about right. Okay, so we're going to take them off, and I'm going to bring this up so I can see the effect just pop into the eye. Right there. That looks good. There's the before, and there's the after. Okay, that leaves us with one last thing to do, and that's to retouch the teeth. So we're going to select that layer underneath. We're going to grab our lasso tool, and we're going to make a selection around the mouth. Okay, we're going to hold down the shift key again. We're going to get that plus sign on that lasso tool, and we're going to make our second selection, and we're going to hit Control J or Command J on a Mac to duplicate that layer. Okay, now we're going to make some adjustments to this teeth. We're going to go Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and I'm going to pull some saturation out. Okay, there we go. So we're going to get rid of the yellowing on the teeth. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is go to Image Adjustments, Brightness. I'm going to brighten them up a little bit. You see, that's too bright, but we're going to control the overall effect with the opacity slider. Same thing as before. We're going to add a layer mask. Holding down the Alt key, that's the Option key on the Mac. Click on your layer mask. We're going to grab our brush. We're going to change our opacity back to 100%. You hit the O key, and we're just going to paint in here. Make sure we're painting with white, and we're just going to paint on their teeth. Pretty simple, right? There we go. Hit the backslash key, and let's zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to hit the X key and go to black, and I'm going to take that off of her lip. Okay, hit the X key again, and just come in here and paint on the teeth, just the teeth. Okay, come over here and check and see how I did over here. I got a little bit on her gum here, so we're going to remove that. Looks pretty good. Hit the X key. Alright, so I'm going to hit the backslash key and hide that mask. Let me zoom back. Again, the same thing with the eyes. You see, if we hide that adjustment on the teeth, you can see that they're considerably brighter, but I like to pull the effect off and bring it back in until I can see it just pop. Okay, that looks pretty good. And there's the before and after on the teeth. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, so that's it. At this point, I'd hit Control S or Command S to save, and it'll save the file back into Lightroom. Alright, so it's finished saving. Now we can see that we've got our retouched image. We've got whitened teeth, we've got soft skin, we've got blemish removal gone. The shine's off their face, they got nice eyes, and yeah, it looks pretty good. So let's look at the before. See here, so there's the before image, and let me pull it over here so we can see the after. Before and after. There's a lot of difference, and these are real quick retouching that you have to learn how to do if you ever expect to do any kind of volume imagery. I want to thank you all for taking time to visit today, and until next time, we'll see you soon.